So please welcome, you're here. Please welcome Chairman and CEO Dan Walker, Farmers and Merchants Bank.
Indeed, it's a pleasure for me to be here standing in front of you today. The Lifetime Achievement Award recognizes an individual or family with a proven lifetime record of exceptional leadership, who demonstrates outstanding civic and charitable responsibility, and whose effort and generosity encourage others to participate in philanthropic engagement in our communities. Today, it's my pleasure to recognize Dr. Schuller and Arvella Schuller. Ecclesiastes 3:11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. How often, when we look in history and what God has orchestrated, we then see the realities of what is present to us. Today, we're going to look at the divine handiwork that started with a blank palette and a paintbrush developed into a masterpiece. This masterpiece required a painter who would rely on the inspiration to receive from the Most High, God. The painter was a simple man with a revised vision from the Creator and built a monument of faith that initiated a movement that continues today. The painter's name, Dr. Schuller. He and his wife moved into Garden Grove in 1955 and took it upon their mission to create a church, starting in a drive-up environment and eventually the historical Crystal Cathedral. Receiving his call to become a preacher at age 4, if you can imagine, and I'll come back to that. Robert Schuller follows God's call from that point forward. As I said, in 1955, he opened the Garden Grove Community Church in a drive-up theater and then expanded over to a 300 chapel just down the street. One learning moment that Dr. Schuller had. He was convinced and learned early that when God's will is being done, God always puts the right people in the right spot at the right time. People with the right spirit or skill or position of power and influence, or people with the right insight, connections, or financial resources. Today, also joining myself is my father, Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker in 1955 was an executive vice president of Farmers and Merchants Bank, and we were privileged to be the first bank that Dr. Schuller opened an account with when he came to Garden Grove. That relationship between my father, Kenneth Walker, and Dr. Schuller was a magnificent relationship, and it extended over a lifetime as we're celebrating it here today. The end result of their relationship was the structures that we have now in Orange County. One of my favorite is the Tower of Hope, 250 feet tall. On top of it is a 90-foot cross that's lit up every day. As it lights up in the sky that we see in Garden Grove, it also lights up in our heart. One of my favorite parts of the Tower of Hope was the creation of a hotline called New Hope. New Hope, as you can imagine, has 7 letters in it. Can you imagine what the telephone number would be for New Hope? The city of Garden Grove said that they couldn't give him that telephone number. So for $600, he jumped across the border to Anaheim, got the number, and actually brought it back. Dr. Schuller saw the Tower of Hope not as a new beginning on an opportunity to build a grand cathedral that would capture the sunlight, enabling worshipers to come in. But let me back up just a little bit for you as well. In 1926, this was the birth date of Robert Schuller. He was born on a home that had no name and had no number. When he was 4 years old, he was visited by his Uncle Henry, who came in from China and was a missionary there. On that visit, Uncle Henry announced to Dr. Schuller that when he grows up, he will be a preacher. At that moment, I can tell you that God stuck that cloak onto Dr. Schuller. And he decided then at age 4 that for the rest of his life, he would be and grow into one of the preachers. First day of school, when he arrived, the teacher asked him, "What is it that you'll be when you grow up?" And he announced on that day that he would be a preacher. And let me tell you that he never forgot being that thought of being a preacher. As he graduated through 21 years of school and then went to college, New Hope in Maryland, Michigan, in Hampton, Michigan. Following the graduation, he was ordained. And when he was ordained, he was the speaker that provided his ordainship, gave him the exact ingredient of what we have today in the Crystal Cathedral. And what he announced on that day was what is right with the church. And I thought that this was very relevant as we move forward. Number one, the church is a great mission. Our mission is to find the lost and save them, find the troubled and help them, lead them to Jesus Christ. Number two, the church has a great message. It affirms the value and worth of any and all persons. The message of the church is to convince people not how bad they are, but how beautiful they have become. Number three, the church is a great method. Our method, when we are true to the gospel, isn't judgmental assessment, but non-judgmental love. People want to change. They want to be better than they are. They must be nurtured to dream beautiful dreams. And they will dream beautiful dreams, and they will experience real love and grace. Remember that grace is God's love in action for people. Number four, the church has a great master. The church at its best is called to bring health and harmony to a world divided and diseased by prejudice. And the church has a great master who modeled how to do this. And this master was the final word. And this final word is the word. Not a word on a piece of paper, but the word. A person, his name is Jesus Christ. Let Christ be loved over the church. Let him be our master, and his beautiful, loving spirit will empower the church with success. The four ingredients of how to make the right church. It has a great mission, it has a great message, it has a great method, and it has a great master. I recognize today a man that took these four ingredients and created the Crystal Cathedral in the community of Garden Grove and announced to the world that Jesus Christ was his Savior, not only in the local community, but over the entire world through the television. We are proud to honor Dr. Robert and Arvella Schuller with the Farmers and Merchants Bank Lifetime Achievement Award. Please.
Thank you for this honor. The first person I went to meet when I came with nothing but my wife and $500 was a banker, and his name was Walker, and he became my trusted friend, like a brother. So I want to thank all of you. I would not be where I am, what I am, without Farmers and Merchants Bank of Garden Grove. God bless you.
I'm going to sneak at the microphone here for a moment and thank Ken Walker. When we moved here in 1955, my husband said we were going to go to Paradise. That's what California was, and that's where our national church had called us. And I said, oh, I'm very happy where we are. The church here is wonderful. The people are wonderful. I'm having a wonderful time being a pastor's wife, and I didn't know how. Well, we came to California, to Garden Grove. It was not really paradise because we were put in the middle of 150 tract homes, yet not painted, so they were all gray. There were no streets, there were no trees, there were no flowers. It was the opposite of what I thought paradise would be. And then we went to a drive-in, we had the drive-in church, and I thought, oh my, we've really gone off to the ends of the world. But then we had the first offering, and it was $83.75. And I know because I helped my husband count every penny. And then he took it to Ken Walker at Farmers and Merchants Bank, and that was in 1955. So thank you, Ken, and a wonderful friendship that we've had with you and Nancy, your wife, who is no longer living, but it's been wonderful. And Garden Grove is still a paradise. So thank you, and it's an honor to be with my husband, and it's been a wonderful life. If God calls you, he doesn't just whisper, it's a shout. And plus that he nudges you and he gives you a shove. So watch out when God calls you, but God bless you all and keep the church alive. It is a joy to know our beautiful Catholic friends and family. So God bless you. And thank you for letting me have a few words.